Hi, my name's David. I am a senior at Columbia College Chicago, and today I'm going to show you how to implement an XR, in this case it'll be a virtual reality, so a VR rig into Unity. First thing you should know is that there's a couple different ways in implementing an XR rig. The old way that was deprecated in 2020, so in this version you will not find this way anymore. But we're going to be working with the old way, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. The old way was built into the Unity's project settings, and what you would be able to do is select whichever platform you wanted to work with. So, for example, Oculus. I have an Oculus Rift CV1 right now that I'll be testing for this. And the second way to do this is with the new plugins. The new plugins were already introduced in 2019, but 2020, I believe, is the only option. So yeah, for right now, we're going to be using the 2019 version because it's been worked with a lot, and there's tons of games that I bet were made with the built-in project settings way. Honestly, it seems like they follow like the same kind of setup, but there's a lot of things missing from the plugin versions, and the plugin versions are not friendly to a lot of ways that people knew how to make the XR rigs. So unless you really know what you're doing with the new plugins, you can try it, but in this case we'll be trying the old, more experienced way of doing things. Anyway, let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is click New on Unity Hub, make a new project. In this case, I'll call it XR Test. And we can just stick with 3D. We don't need, 2D is definitely not the way to go. We don't need extras. We don't need a special render pipeline. So my location, I'll just do source, I'll just put it right here. Yeah, we can create. And then just let it initialize. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is click on Edit, Project Settings, and you can see if you go to the bottom, XR Plugin Management. This is the new way to do XR, so AR, VR, MR. In this case, we're not going to be doing this. This is the new way to do it, though. What it does is it'll give you a plugin manager, and once you get the plugins, you can go down to Window, Package Manager, and install like Oculus VR plugin. In this case, we're not going to be doing that. We go back to Project Settings. What I'll be doing and showing you is by going to Player, and you go down, you can see the XR settings here. So this was the original built-in XR settings. And again, I think XR plugin management is very modular for the engine, like the entire engine. I think it's awesome, but it's not that friendly to people who were used to this. So you can even see here in the 2019.4 version, it says built-in XR is deprecated and will be retired in a future version of Unity. And that is in 2020. So pretty much the next version of Unity from my version. But if we just ignore this, we can click virtual reality supported. And what it'll do is it'll set up virtual reality and import all those packages. In this case, you can see once you're done importing everything, it'll show you the SDK for Oculus as one of the options. OpenVR will be for Steam, and this is also another big reason why the plugins are not great. They do not have OpenVR. OpenVR is used for HTC Vive and Steam VR and any of those. So as of right now, it really seems like Oculus is the only one that works with the new XR plugins. But anyway, make sure that we have Oculus, everything's checked, and it comes with the Oculus SDK. OpenVR, we don't really need it. You can, in fact, go ahead and take it out. So right there, I just clicked the minus. And again, that's just for the sake of our editor not being bombarded with a bunch of different packages. So if we go ahead and X out, we can pretty much just use a sample scene. For right now, I'll add a plane. I'll just make it really big. Alright. So after you've set up your project settings and having a basic plane, though I guess you should do this before that, what you should do is go to your package manager, type in XR, as I already had it typed, and make sure you show preview packages. Now this is what's pretty strange. So the XR interaction toolkit is a preview, but it caused a lot of confusion because with the new XR plugin management, it's supposed to make this outdated. The way we're going to do it is we're going to have this toolkit, and yet we're going to use the deprecated project settings version. So we're going to use this. So click install. So when this warning comes up, or if it does, just make sure you click yes. What that'll do is it'll update the backends and make sure that your input API is up to date. So just click yes. In this case, it's restarting my project. That's okay. And after that, just go ahead and X out, right click on your main camera, and you'll see that there's a new option for XR. Now, in XR, you'll see there's a lot of different stuff you can do. There's a lot of built-in features such as locomotion, teleportation areas, anchors. Ray interactors are pretty good too. Mostly used for on your controllers. If you're to aim at something, they would cast a ray. Now, for what we're going to do, we're going to use a room scale XR rig. I know I'm sitting in a chair and I'm stationary, but it works either way, but room scale is probably the way you want to go no matter what. So you now have an XR interaction manager. You can add some components here. In fact, some come with XR. You got grav interactables and simple interactables. And this all comes along with just whatever you need to have in your game or simulation. And you can see that your main camera has basically turned into an XR rig. And your camera looks like it's on the floor of that XR rig, like the very, very bottom. In runtime, your camera will go up and it'll be whatever height your sensors think you are at. So inside of your XR rig, you can see that you have a camera offset. You don't really need to mess with this, but if you click back on XR rig, you'll see that it's using that camera offset as that way to tell what your height is. And you can change the tracking origin, so it'll be the floor or the device. In this case, I'll use the floor. So to the settings of your device, it'll bring you up. So inside of the camera offset, your main camera was not actually turned into an XR rig, it's actually put in as a child to the XR rig. And you also have access to left hand and right hand controllers, and we'll be using that in a little bit. So I now have my Oculus Rift ready. I don't have the earpieces on, but we're not messing with sound today. So once you have it out, in my case, I found that you can't mess with the controllers. You can't use touch controllers unless you have the sensor like actually being interacted with on the headset. Sorry, I'm gonna mute that. You need to have your hand on here if you're using Oculus Rift CV1. There's probably a setting somewhere where it can always track your controllers, but we're not even using controllers right now, so I'm actually gonna not do this. So anyway, if you press play, let me make this a little bigger as well. It should be able to move. Yeah. And as you can see, if I were taller or shorter, it would change. The floor setting is set to your device. So when you set up Oculus room scale, it'll be how it is. Right now it's not actually like configured to my room, but if I did put this on the floor, it would be at the very bottom of my XR rig. And if I were to be super tall, it would reach the top. So I've shown you how to make an XR rig, the very basics, but as an incentive, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to have like your controller. This is the Oculus Touch, first Oculus Touch. I'm going to show you how to track your controllers. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and click on your right hand controller and make a child of a cube. So a cube child. This will be your right hand. Oh my god. Alright, right hand model. So right now I'm calling it right hand model, but you can call it anything you want. It's preferred that you call it something like right hand model or right hand presence, because that's all it is. It's just the model for your hand to represent your hand. And this can also have your animations for whether your fingers will change or you want a fist. That's all up to you. But the next thing we want to do for now is delete what you have in this. The components for right hand controller by default are pretty all over the place. Like, for the sake of separation of concern, you might not want to have everything all on the right hand controller. The right hand controller should just be what your controller is going to do. So going against what Unity has set up for you, remove all of these components. You don't need them right now. And what you want to do is type in XR and look for the XR controller device-based script. So this is a pretty simple script. It takes all your inputs and it gives you like basic setups for what you consider select, what you'll consider activate, and you can always tap into the script and use the values on another script or another object. And you click on right hand. I'm using the right hand controller and I click on right hand. By the way, you can do this all on the left hand as well. Just make sure you have the controller node selected to left hand. So in this case, right hand. And what you want to do is make sure that the model prefab and model transform are set to this cube. So go ahead and select your right hand model and your right hand transform. And now you'll have the cube follow your controller when you're playing the game. So if you did not do this, you would technically have your cube attached to your controller, but it wouldn't actually move with your controller. So for now, let's go ahead and go back to the right hand model, and I'm gonna narrow this down. I found out that the size that I'd prefer is 0.1, 0.1, 0.15. And so this gives you like a Minecraft type arm. And boom. There you go. There's your blocky right hand. Yeah, pretty cool. So with this, you have your basic setup to basically go ahead and look around for documentation or YouTube videos or any other tutorials, and you can work off of those and find out what you need in order to implement whatever you want to implement. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Very simple, but it opens up a lot of doors. And thanks for watching.